Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, you know what? One of the great pleasures of being the president of Washington Gun Law is to be able to have really meaningful conversations with most of you lawful and responsible gun owners out there. Now, some of you are a little salty, and I don't really enjoy that experience, but about 98% of you are a lot of fun to talk to, and many of you have some pretty thought-provoking questions and ideas. And this is really an example of that, because I had a conversation via email with one of our loyal viewers, and he had some really interesting questions and thoughts, and it kind of led to the idea behind this video. So today, let's spend a few minutes and talk about, is the ATF blatantly creating a gun registry right in front of our face? Okay, so the issue we're talking about today is the ATF blatantly creating a gun registry right in front of our face? Now, special thanks goes out to our loyal viewer, Tait. Tait, you know who you are, and I want to really thank him because last week I came up with this. I didn't come up with this idea. Last week, actually, we had a discussion about this, and we traded emails back and forth, and he had some really thought-provoking ideas, and we kind of went round and around, and I eventually said to Tait, hey, this is a really good conversation. Do you mind if I reduce this down to a video? So, Tait, this one is for you. Now, to understand Tait's logic, and it is good logic here, we're going to use some handy-dandy graphics, these ones right here, to get you to better understand how we believe, Tait and I believe, that perhaps ATF is using Operation Reticent Recall. That's right, the scavenger hunt for triggers and traps. Is that actually a mask for what is the creation of a national gun registry? Okay, so follow the logic here. This is the world according to ATF. Now, as we know, there is a category of items, we call them firearms. And firearms are partially regulated, as you know, by the ATF, and they include shotguns, rifles, handguns, assault rifles, semi-automatic rifles, and other items. Now, amongst the various types of firearms, we have some very highly regulated NFA, National Firearms Act firearms, and they include short-barrel rifles, short-barrel shotguns, machine guns, suppressors, and other destructive devices. And these are highly regulated by the federal government. We will call this the apex predator of firearms, okay? But here's what else we know in as the world turns according to ATF. We also know that forced reset triggers equal machine guns. And we know that machine guns equals a firearm. We also know that wide open triggers equal machine guns. And of course, machine guns also equal a firearm. Therefore, it is safe to say that these triggers standing alone constitute firearms. How do we know that? Well, ATF told us that in this open letter right here on March 6th to all FFLs, where they decided that the FRT, force reset trigger, and the WOT, the wide open trigger, standing alone constituted a machine gun. Now, we also know that the Hellfire trigger system has recently fallen into the same ire as the ATF, so I suppose we can include the Hellfire trigger system constitutes a machine gun, which constitutes a firearm. But you see, wait, there's more, because we also know in the world, according to ATF, that solvent traps equal suppressors, and suppressors, of course, equal firearms. Now, the logic behind that, I don't know. I don't understand how a device that muffles sound suddenly constitutes a firearm. But, hey, I don't make the rules. I only tell you what they are and attempt to interpret them. So, suppressors equal firearms. So, if we use that same logic, then, of course, solvent traps equals firearms. Now, we also know, under the Firearm Owners Protection Act, passed in 1986 under President Ronald Reagan, specifically 18 United States Code Section 926, that no federal dollars can be used in any way, shape, or form to create a national gun registry. As a matter of fact, the statute specifically reads, no such rule or regulation prescribed after the date of the enactment of the Firearms Owners Protection Act may require that records required to be maintained under this chapter or any portion of the contents of such records be recorded at or transferred to a facility owned, managed, or controlled by the United States or any state or political subdivision thereof, nor that any system of registration of firearms, firearms owners, or firearms transactions or dispositions be established. Nothing in this section expands or restricts the Secretary's authority to inquire into the disposition of any firearm in the course of a criminal investigation. And of course, it is that last sentence that would be the great out. But let us remember here now what the federal government has done, because it is our ATF that has used taxpayer dollars, your dollars. This was not self-funded, right, by the ATF. It's not like all the ATF agents got together, pulled their money together, did a GoFundMe to go out and fund Operation Reticent Recall, okay? This is funded by you and me, the American taxpayer. Our tax dollars were used to go raid these industries, collect the sales and shipment records, collect all of the sales records, and then use those items, compile the data into a searchable format, which then the ATF has used to go door to door to confiscate these items under the threat of criminal prosecution. So, we have a large database compiled through extraction of data by ATF, which was funded by us, the American taxpayer, that is now being used to nefariously contact citizens under the threat of lawful force against them. This, my friends, we can call it a lot of different things, but it sounds an awful lot like a gun registry. Now, the great out in the statute, of course, is the very last sentence, which reads, nothing in this section expands or restricts the Secretary's authority to inquire into the disposition of any firearm in the course of a criminal investigation. And of course, it is the fact that ATF has classified these triggers as machine guns, therefore they're firearms, and has classified these solvent traps as suppressors, and therefore they're firearms, that one, allows the federal government to go there, but number two, gets dangerously close to them creating a national gun registry. Tait, this is excellent food for thought, and I'd like to hear what all of you think about that in the comment sections below. Listen, you may have more questions about this or anything else related to your Second Amendment rights, and if you do, remember, you can always contact us at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or you can call us directly at 425-765-0487. Now, let's remember, part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching, and stay safe.